Welcome. Just for today, February 28th, 2019. The greatest gift. When we begin coming to meetings, we hear other addicts talking about the gifts they have received as a result of this program, things we never thought of as gifts before. One such gift is the renewed ability to feel emotions we had deadened for so long with drugs. It's not difficult to think of love, joy, and happiness as gifts, even if it's been a long time since we felt them. But what about bad feelings like anger, sadness, fear, and loneliness? Such emotions can't be seen as gifts, we tell ourselves. After all, how can we be thankful for things we want to run from? We can become grateful for these emotions in our lives if we place them in their proper perspective. We need to remember that we've come to believe in a loving higher power, and we've asked that higher power to take care of us and our feelings we're given. The feelings we're given, good or bad, are given for us for a reason. With this in mind, we come to realize that there are no bad feelings, only lessons to be learned. Our faith and our higher power's care give us the courage we need to face whatever feelings may come up on a daily basis. As we heard early in recovery, your higher power won't give you more than you can handle in just one day. And the ability to feel our emotions is one of the greatest gifts of recovery. Just for today, I will try to welcome my feelings, firm in the belief that I have the courage to face whatever emotions may come up in my life. Feelings are hard to deal with. When I was in my active addiction, anytime I felt a strong feeling, that feeling led to doing drugs. Happiness, sadness, anger, loneliness, and every one of my habits led to one of those feelings. I would isolate, which would lead to loneliness, which would lead to using. Or I would go to the bar, get happy off a couple beers, and then lead to using. Everything I did revolved around a pathway that led me to using. And that pathway that led me to using was all a defense mechanism against being able to feel any emotions. When I got clean, I felt emotions for the first time in years, like true emotions. They were strong and I did not know what to do with them. The first meeting I ever went to, I just sat there and cried. I couldn't look anyone in the face. I was embarrassed, ashamed to ask anyone for help, ashamed to admit that I needed help. It was like, how pathetic it is that I am a, 26-year-old person that just can't even live their life normally and without doing drugs all day, every day. Like, how pathetic have I become? Especially because I once was sought after as a person who had a certain amount of skill, competence, and was a hardworking and person that could reach a pretty high potential. That person was gone. They were replaced through years of drug addiction to a person that ran to using every time they experienced any amount of feeling at all. My using became a place. My using was an escape at first, and then it became a place that was normal, the comfort zone. And as that comfort zone of using grew, as I went on to harder drugs and as my using went up, that's all I was left with. It was just me using. And if I wasn't using, I was uncomfortable and I was angry. And, I had all these feelings of deceit, of remorse, of loneliness, of letting people down, of, suicidal feelings. It was just terrible. And the only way I knew how to deal with my feelings was to use. It became a reinforced habit that I did over and over and over and over. And in early recovery, in your first 60 days, I remember experiencing emotions again. And it was fucking hard to manage. You're scared of these emotions simply because all of these emotions are outside of your comfort zone. Like sadness and anger, those are just emotions that are hard to deal with in itself. But when you've put yourself in a using comfort zone, and even happiness or joy are outside of that comfort zone, you second guess it all the time. So happiness and sadness usually just lead to anger. A higher power was talked about a lot in the reading today. And that's still one of the things that I'm wrestling with a lot. I don't think of my higher power much on a daily basis. I use my higher power as a way to ground myself when I do have strong emotions. If I'm feeling if I feel like there's something wrong with a person, place, or situation, and I'm getting angry about it, I use my higher power to have a moment of reflection and to think, okay, what about this situation is it that's an issue for me? Because it's me that holds the issue. It's not the situation. It's not the place. And it's not the person. It's an inside job that I have to figure out. So if I'm really angry at someone, or I think someone's being, this at work, or being an asshole or whatever, before I snap back like I usually would, I think, okay, wait, maybe I need to, let this go. Or maybe, why am I reacting in this way? Why am I having this reaction? Is it an insecurity about myself? Or is it possibly because I'm embarrassed? Or is it because I feel unworthy? Or is it because they're just so much bigger and they make me feel small? That was one of the other things too. At the end of my addiction, I did not like being around people that had things going on for them, because the fact that they had things going well for them just highlighted all of my insufficiencies. It was insane. Turning anger, turning fear. Fear is something that I've made some great strides in. I used to be straight up deathly scared of spiders. And now I can fucking fight spiders like no tomorrow. It's crazy. I used to be so scared to even touch them. I used to get those feelings of shivers and looking over your shoulder and ugh. But now I see one and I'm just like, oh, you're nothing. Whatever. Done. Squished. And that, I believe, comes from my ability to stand up to fear, which I've just bolstered over my amount of clean time. Because the fear of spiders is still there. I've just become stronger. And when it's a silly example almost, but, dealing and overcoming your fears in that way, like the fact that I overcame that fear makes it easier for me to overcome other fears, because the simple brain circuitry in my head, which tells me that, oh, I can overcome fears, that gets reinforced. And then maybe I take on a different fear that I have, and a different fear. Like even talking to people or making relationships. And not like sexual or like girlfriend relationships. Just simply making new friends. I never wanted to do that because I knew I would just burn this bridge that I'm creating. Like, why would I build this thing if I'm just gonna fucking torch the motherfucker on fire? So I've become stronger that way and more able to bear the burden of knowing people and having relationships and calling people back and, just willing to let people be a part of my life, even though I know it's possible that it might hurt me. And that's a big step. So, feeling your emotions, investigating why you feel certain ways, and not numbing away your emotions. I think that's the key to today's reading. So thank you for stopping in for the gist for today, and I'm so glad you did, and I hope you got something out of it. And I'll see you tomorrow. Heavy Brown, out.